2, 3, ciao! We are going to talk about magnet sizes and how they influence the tone, and also I am going to review the Celestion 15-inch Fullback. Now that was played on mediocre distortion. It was on the lead channel and I put the gain a bit lower because I like that setting, and it makes for quite a bass heavy because the speaker is loaded in a bass cap, but also very mid-low rumble distortion ranged sound. Also you could hear there was a little bit of squealing or screaming from the speaker, in my opinion. A lot of Electric Wizard's stuff has this, that they really just yank the guitar and it kind of starts to feedback in a very menacing way. This speaker has that. Also, if you are going to play on high gain, which will be the last part, you will also hear that this speaker can really screech, but it also really scratches. In my experience, it's like someone put their nails on a chalkboard, or if a cat really scratches open your skin, or if you accidentally open up a CD player and you scratch open your thumb and you see your bone. That was a weird experience. Next part is the calmer part. This is set to almost no distortion, almost no gain. Smooth, soft, warm bath. Now you can hear also that this speaker is very able to produce very soft and very melodic tones. It kind of leans over to a little bit of overdrive if you really pinch. And what I really like about this specific speaker and the sounds it can make is that, in my experience, this is not a high gain speaker. You're going to hear that in the following part, because at the high gain it really knocked out of control. And if you have it set to mediocre or low gain or overdrive, you really get this very compressed but also very controlled tone. And it always has this sort of, yeah, a chime. I guess chime is what people use. It always has this sort of chime. And that is something that is really, really beautiful about this Celestion Fullback. So, something that I also wanted to talk about is magnet sizes. Here we got a Technics tweeter. I pulled it from some old Japanese Technics speakers, but this magnet size, as you see, is quite voluminous in comparison to the tweeter size. It is a tweeter for high tones, of course, but the bigger the magnet is, the more power and the more amplitude it has to drive the signal. So you must understand that the bigger a magnet is, a good example is the Electro Voice 12-inch speaker, the one that Zach Wilde uses. He even has his own signature for it. I understand that, but it has a huge magnet. It's actually like a woofer magnet, like for a subwoofer. And this also, for this tweeter, this is a big magnet, so this is able to drive the speaker or the tweeter or horn, whatever you have, with less distortion and less frequencies that are tonally imbalanced. And we do not want that, because if we play an E note on our guitar, we want to hear an E note. If we play an A major chord, we want to hear an A major chord. We don't want to hear the tones dance all off to the sides in a chaos that is not what we desire. So good speakers reproduce good sound. The bigger the magnet, the more ability a speaker has to push out the good sound. That's why, for example, Jensen, in my experience, this is the, for my former video, Jensen EM1501 speaker. If you look at these speakers, you see these backs, you think, oh, it's quite big, it's voluminous, must be a huge magnet behind it. Magnet size also really impacts, in my experience, and also what I learned from some videos, what kind of tone comes out. The bigger the magnet size, the more power it has to make beautiful low-end tones. The smaller the magnet size is, Jensen is known for its high frequencies. The smaller the magnet is, the better the speaker can produce subtle high tones. So that is why a lot of Jensen speakers, you see smaller magnets, and this is quite a small magnet for a 15-inch speaker in comparison to the Fullback. You see, the Fullback really has a fat magnet, or fat. It's almost the same size as the inner diameter of the speaker iron. This is quite a decent magnet. It's also quite, well, I wouldn't say heavy, but it weighs way more than a Jensen speaker. So it's way more fit to produce lower tones, mid-range tones. And I would say that this magnet size is more mid-range. If you would say the Electro Voice magnet, you'd have like this big of a magnet. And the Jensen speaker, as we see, is way smaller. So whenever you see a speaker secondhand, you can check if it's powerful enough, if you can check out the magnet, and always not too heavy, but slightly push in the cone. You can test if it's not internally rusted, because if it's internally rusted, like this one, it will not move, it will not budge, and you will feel it is super stiff. That means the speaker magnet has died. You can replace those, but that is very pricey. So unless you really want a speaker, just leave it there. Don't buy it. It's dead. That's the way things go, and that's the way things will always be. For the next part, here is the heavy distortion, high gain